We just have a quick question here from Paul asking whether we have a specific template that we use for the pivot points. Now, Paul, not really. It's just a standard pivot point. Let me show you which one it is. So if you open up your indicators on TradingView, it's just called Pivot Point Standard. So just a standard pivot point indicator. And the settings are quite simple as well. If we just double click, you can either have it as a classic or a traditional. Doesn't really make a big difference. You'll get fairly the same type of price levels. I've set the pivot time frame to auto. Of course, you can say daily to give you the daily pivot, but it's not going to give you a very good intraday view. So you can see the daily pivot for R1, the daily for the daily pivot, and then the S1. So I prefer to just do an auto because then it'll auto correct for whatever time frame you were on. And then in terms of the, I've chosen to remove the show historical pivots. The reason for that is I don't want to clog up the chart with all the previous day's pivots. Sometimes they can be useful, but I prefer just seeing the intraday gauge just on the pivots for the day itself. In terms of number of pivots look back, this one you can maybe change it to 2. This isn't a setting parameter for the pivot. It just tells you how many backward looking ones you have. So if we take back the historical ones, it's now only going to show us 2. So if you have 40 here, it's going to show you 40 days worth. If you have 60, it's going to show you 60 days worth. So the number of pivots itself, this one isn't too important. In terms of style, I've just gone with the normal daily pivot as well as the S1 and the R1. You can, if it's a very volatile event that you're trading, let's say you're trading a central bank event, or you're trading a massive economic event like NFP, you can mark up the R2 and the S2 as well to give you a little bit of a further move to the downside. Obviously, the charts are set on auto, right? So the challenge with that is it's going to compress your chart to a lot smaller. So if I just open that up again and I open up the S3, you can see how small the chart becomes. And then, of course, that's not really useful from a price action point of view to look at it. So I prefer to just have the S1 and the R1 on. As I said, if it's a major event that you're trading, you might put on the S2 and the R2 as well. But it's really simple, nothing too major, no secret sauce with this, just a standard pivot, just for some added confluence levels in terms of targets and stop loss placement and entries. Of course, we're using the ADR as well, so it's just another tool to add onto the toolbox. Useful measure in terms of intraday trading as well. So hope that helps. Any other questions, don't hesitate to let us know.